So this is my coding walkthrough for my Rails with JavaScript portfolio project for Flatiron. Um, and yeah, so I'll just kind of be doing the whole thing through this walkthrough today. Um, so I will want to, first I want to display a has many relationship for a model I called recipe. So first I'll need a serializer, which I'll do Rails generate serializer recipe. I actually already installed the Ruby gem, and so from this recipe, what I want is I want the image, I want ID, and I want the name of the recipe, as well as I want an association with its ingredients. I want to get its ingredients from the JSON object I would get back. So I create the serializer, I save that, and then I have to go to the controller and make sure that on the index action I want all the recipes, so I want this object when I do .json, so I'll do format.json, render json, recipes.toJSON. And so yeah, I will be getting a JSON object back when I ask for this resource. And so yeah, what I want to do is I want to show it here via JavaScript. And so I will. So I want to create a button. I want to create a button that basically if you press it, it'll load the recipes through JavaScript without reloading the page. And I also need a div where I will append all the HTML to. And so there is that div. And so, okay, so I have to add the script. I'm using jQuery here, and so yeah, so I have to get this button here, so I will get it using its class selector, and I will add an event handler of onClick. And then when you click it, I want to use a get request to my recipes route, which is recipes.json, because I want the JSON, I want it serialized. And so function data, and then so basically here is this div of where I want to put all the data that you get back from the get request or the API calls. So I want to append the data.map because I'm going to be getting array back, so I want to map it actually. Div class equals recipe card image source equals recipe.image div class equals recipe overview data ID. I'm using data ID here because I actually want to be able to use this attribute later in the view. And so I use data ID here, which is an easy way to kind of move around data. And then I'm going to add actually another button to load basically ingredient of this recipe. Show more. Okay. That's the div. And then I want to add event handlers for this button right here, recipe show more. So that's what I'll do next. Recipe show more on click recipe. Yeah, so here, right here, is where I want to use the data ID. This is why I actually put the data ID here, attribute here onto these elements, because I wanted to actually get that data ID down here to be able to choose the right recipe and get its ingredients instead of getting basically all of them. But yeah, so that's that, and then I want to actually get another GET request. Recipe ID. Yeah, see, I need that dynamic data to be able to get the right resources when I make another API call. Plus .json function data. The reason I'm doing join here is because if I don't, it actually adds a comma to the views, and so I'm putting a join there. But yeah, so then recipe overview data ID equals data.id. Hmm. Okay, so yeah, so this data ID here, I use it here to basically select this recipe overview, select the correct one. So let's say I have a recipe of, let's say, pasta. I want to make sure that this specific one for the pasta will basically append this HTML. If I don't have this, then it'll kind of append it to every single recipe card, which I don't want. Because let's say if I had another recipe of something to do with chicken, you don't want the pasta's ingredients to also show up for that other recipe. So that's kind of why I needed the data ID, data attribute. But yeah, so that is done. It'll all append inside here dynamically. And then another thing I had to do was um, actually, so form, I have to submit it dynamically through JavaScript. I could do that by, first I need to create a div where I could basically show the data that I will post through this form up here, which I already created in the previous rendition of this project. So I'll just create the script tag, and then yeah, so here I will code. I will first select the form up here by just calling just whatever it is, the form dot submit. So when you submit it, I want to do, first you want to event.prevent default, and what this will do is this will make sure that the page doesn't refresh. It won't basically do what forms just normally do, because we don't want to refresh the page. Equals this dot serialize. What I'm doing here is I'm serializing it so that it becomes a JSON object that we can work with. Variable posting equals. So this is where we post it to the server. We want to post it to recipes and then values. We want to basically post the values here. We want to send the values here to recipes. And then so whenever posting is done, we want to basically let recipe equals data, and then let ingredients equals recipe.ingredients map ingredients. And then, so yeah, I just made this variable to call this variable and basically append this later to be able to use the dot map. So we got to append it to the DOM by selecting where we want to basically append it to, that new recipe, which is up here, .html, h2 recipe.name, then p ingredients, There we go. And so yeah, just to kind of go through this real quick. So what's happening is so we have a form here, and we select that form right here, and on submit, when you submit it, we want to prevent default so that it doesn't go to that action that it was going to before, and it doesn't refresh the page. We kind of want to just do this straight from the front end. And so we prevent default, we get the values from the form, and we serialize them. And then we run a post request to this recipe's, I guess you could say endpoint, and then we send it the values. And once that's done, which it will take time to basically post to the server, but once that's done, we basically get the data and we get the ingredients, and we return basically a list element with each element from the array name, value, and then we append it basically to this div that we created right there. So we could see it in action by going to localhost 3000. First we want to log in. And so yeah, if you go to recipes and you go to new recipe, let's say test recipe, test, you create the recipe. Uh-oh, something is not working properly. Cannot read map of undefined. Huh. So ingredients, that means ingredients is undefined. Ah, I know why. So recipes controller. If we go to create right here, if we go to the create action right here, on save, we gotta actually tell it to render JSON at recipe status 201 instead of show. We could try that. And now let's refresh. Let's do test recipe, test. And then we do create recipe, and there we go. Test recipe and then each ingredients. As well as if you want to try seeing the cart in the load recipes button, you could load recipes, cart 4. Unexpected token somewhere. Let's see. Hmm. Unexpected token at card 76. What is going on? I definitely just have a typo somewhere. Not sure exactly where. Um, huh. No typo there. There's a typo here somewhere. Huh. Well, there's a typo here somewhere. I will figure it out later. But yeah, that is the coding walkthrough.